YortyNet.tv Part 2, second half. And the first half was great, but folks, get ready for a blessing as we bring on a first-time guest who is standing by in our green room. You're watching our bumper. You're probably tired of it. Okay, I am too in a way. Our chat room's waiting. Everything's go. So let's start a countdown to Studio 40 Alpha. Starting now. Well, we're back. Welcome. This is PJNet.tv. It says so right there. There it is. And over there. Oh, we're wrapping it up this week, and we're going to go out with a bang. I feel, I know I've said it before, but I can't say it too often how blessed I am to just be a part of this, to sit here and just welcome my brothers and sisters in Christ and have them share their story on screen. And we have, well, you know, I say we have, I was getting everything ready, but I forgot one little detail. I forgot to put her on the screen. So I'm just kind of ad-libbing as I do that now. And we will make some adjustments along the way. But I think I've got it kind of roughed in right there, and we'll get it a little bit better. But welcome. We bring you Annie Yorty from, and by the way, folks, when we were doing our little test run today, her internet's not doing so well right now. It's kind of like Catherine Paysauer's horse earlier. I mean, it's kind of got colic, you know. But Annie, if we'll do the little wink, if you can hear me, you are frozen up. And I don't know if you can hear me or not. So that's what Annie looks like. But she is a live person, and she does move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back up here, and I'll make some announcements while we kind of clean this up. I'm going to disconnect Annie temporarily. If you can hear me, Annie, just join back in, and we'll try again. Let me get her name off the screen while we do that. Folks, we have been working late at night. We actually ran into a problem that turned out to be an opportunity. Does that sound familiar? It is for many. You know, we had run those little 2-minute highlights videos, but here as of late, Facebook has declined our ad campaigns on it, saying that there's a copyright match because of the music. Well, yes, that is copyrighted music. I know that because we subscribe to storyblocks.com and we pay an annual fee that license us to use that music. So there's no doubt in my mind that's copyrighted music. Well, you know how the world of Facebook is. You have to go down 14 layers and navigate. It's like voicemail jail. You know, you press this or whatever. Well, you can appeal, you know, their thing. And so I appealed it, saying that, yes, that's copyrighted content. I am a licensed subscriber to storyblocks.com. Here is the link to the page that I downloaded the music from. Well, then you get their auto reply. The claimant has 10 days to look at your answer and reply back. Okay, and it's been more than 10 days and I hadn't heard a thing. So this is very similar to copyright claims that people run up against on YouTube. The reason that we do business with Storyblocks is if you had to appeal it on YouTube, the same thing would happen. I've talked to people who've gone through that. I've gone through it myself. And the reason that we use storyblocks.com on YouTube is that when this happens, I do not, hi Annie, how you doing? She's actually back, folks. So I'm going to bring her in, and you'll just have to stay tuned for the rest of the story on our, but while I'm getting Annie kind of framed up in here, I'll continue the story that I started. So we're trying to find our way to do the highlights videos on YouTube. We did one, and it did excellent. So we're going to be transitioning. But we're going to try to transition to Annie now because she's back. So welcome, Annie. Um, I apologize. We kind of knew this was coming, though, didn't we?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're just gonna get through it. This is live, and we're glad that you took time out. Now, I this is the first time we've met, um, but you've actually done quite a bit of research, and you know a lot of the people that we've had on our program. How did you come to be on the screen right here?
Yeah, I met a lot of people that are in the chat right now at the Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference. This year was my second time going there, and so we've connected through conference and through Refresh magazine and Katie Kaufman's group Facebook.
Okay, so you're no stranger to the PJNet family. I'm working on her picture right now. I'll get this. I'll get it trimmed up. Want to make you a little bigger. It doesn't make you gain weight or anything. It just makes you bigger. Um, so you were at, and I might be getting ahead of myself. You're at a writers' conference, but um, it's not like you already have a book. You're going to have a book, but you've been going to conferences. You went to the big one. Have you been to any other ones?
Nope, that's it.
Well, you start off at the top. But
Yeah, about a year ago, I just knew God was calling me to get serious about writing. And at the last minute, I signed up and went to that conference and led me to the right place.
and things are looking good. You're going to be working with Deb Haggerty of Elk Lake Publishing, I believe.
That's right. My book, it's called From Ignorance to Bliss, God's Heart for Down Syndrome. That is in the process of being published with Elk Lake. I'm really excited to get started on that.
Okay. Any idea when we'll see it?
We are talking about winter to spring.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that seems like a long time, but on the other hand, I have something coming up in April, but I'm preparing now. So it's not too early. But you went. Now, how far is it for you to drive to the Blue Ridge conference?
Oh my, it's probably about an 8 hour drive.
Okay, so folks, the reason I ask is I know that Annie has no problem when the Lord is nudging her to go somewhere. She just goes. All right, here's what I'm talking about. Annie is passionate about what she calls global missions. I would call it international missions. But it's the same thing. Doesn't matter what you call it. But when I've gone on international missions, I live in Florida. I would go to Mexico, the Caribbean, Jamaica, nice places, not far away, in the beautiful hot sun and the summer and the beaches and the mountains and the oh, but Annie, no, no, God called you to this.
Yep, that's Eastern Siberia, folks.
I really thought you were standing in front of a white bed sheet.
It really does look like that. When you get out into the countryside in the winter, it's just one big white background.
Oh my gosh! And why Siberia? Did you throw a dart at the world map and that's where it landed?
Well, no. I started in the country of Belarus, which we all probably are more familiar with that geography in Eastern Europe. It's right next door to Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went there a couple of times, and then they closed their doors to missionaries. And so Siberia came after that. But I never had going anywhere on my radar. we used to we still do. We go to a place called and it's part of Campus Crusade for Christ. It's the humanitarian aid arm of Campus Crusade, and we would go there every year on a mission trip, so to speak, from North
Mm-hmm.
Carolina to Pennsylvania to pack humanitarian aid, and the aid was going to Eastern Europe. And after we were there for a few years, going there, my son said to me, he was 8 years old at the time, and he said, "Mom, I think God's calling me to go to Belarus," because he had heard about things going on in Belarus at that place.
An
And
8-year-old,
at 8 years old, and I just wanted to
and
like
you
pat
believed
his
him.
little head, just pat his little head and say, "Okay, maybe someday." But that I couldn't do. I knew God calls us to different ministries, and He uses children as well. So I said, "We'll pray about it." And after we prayed about it, we did do something as well. We got passports just in case, on the off chance that God was going to move in this. And we told people about what we were thinking about. And 3 months later, after that prayer, we stepped off a plane in Comoros.
Speaking of little children,
There is Stuart at age playing with some orphans in Belarus.
and how
Yeah.
long were you there?
We're on that trip for 2 weeks. And I've been many, many times to Russia, mostly since then. And our trips typically are 2 to 3 weeks.
Now, Belarus is a very troubled place right now
Yes, it certainly is.
because that is right. I think the world's eyes have been on Russia and the Ukraine. Well, Belarus is nestled right there. There, I
It
think it
is,
borders
yes,
both, if I remember right.
it does. And they tend to lockstep with Russia's leadership.
So
But
Belarus is kind of off the
af-
radar for the foreseeable future.
it is. And I don't know about Russia either. I really long to go back to Russia, but I don't know when that
Oh,
door will open again.
okay. Well, now that you bring that up, um,
Mhm.
that that is a familiar sight to many. Well, no, that picture,
Yeah, there's
it's familiar in the sense of seeing it in a picture, but obviously you were there.
I was there. I've been there many times. That is St. Basil's Cathedral. It's a famous cathedral in Red Square in Moscow. And so on the front end or back end of our trips out to Asia, we have gotten out for a couple of hours from the airport to see the sights. And there we were that year in Red Square. And you see me there. I'm with my son, who is not 8 in that picture. He's a teenager. And my daughter, Alyssa, who is this, she went on a trip to Siberia also. She has Down syndrome. So I never dreamed that would even be possible. So it's quite a story to see how that came about.
When you told people you were going to do that, what cautions did you hear? What was the reaction of some of the people your friends and people in church?
Well, most people didn't say too much to me. I probably said more caution to myself than I heard from other people. Um, it started with a friend of mine who said to me one day, "What if Alyssa could go to Siberia?" And I was just like, "What?" That it's hard. She doesn't do breaks in routine well, and I mean, going on a vacation is not all that easy
Hmm.
sometimes. So, a grueling trip to the opposite side of the world with no sleep and everything changes at this minute. I had no idea how that could happen.
But it did. But it did.
It did, because I, when she said that again, just like my son, I couldn't just go, no, I could never. And so I just opened my heart to the possibility and I prayed about it. And God began just giving me very creative ideas. And we made plans. We talked about the what ifs, what could happen, and how would we handle it. And we kind of, as a team, each took some aspect of the responsibility for assisting her. And it was amazing to see her there.
Hmm. You're a brave girl. Okay, let's have some fun. This does not. This is suffering for Jesus. This is some tough mission work, folks.
We love to do skits. We do skits and singing with spiritual messages for people in Siberia. And in this one here, we were doing something to do with the theme of Valentine's Day. And you can see Alyssa there in the front participating in that. And people in Russia are amazed to see her in all this normal kind of life, because in Russia, most people with disabilities are institutionalized very, very early in life.
Hmm. Makes you grateful. Well, one, I feel a sense of grief for those young people that are treated that way. But then on the flip side of that coin, I am grateful that we are blessed. You know, we complain a lot over here, but and I do too. You know, there's a lot of room for improvement. There is, but I too, Annie, have traveled, and in fact, you've been there too, I believe, to the Dominican Republic. Folks, we're not poor.
Yes.
If there's enough money, there's enough change in your pocket, probably, to be considered wealthy in the Dominican Republic. What were you doing there?
Well, when I went to the Dominican Republic, I went with an organization called Global Training Network that teaches pastors. And we also will have like a conference for women. So I'm doing Bible teaching when I'm there, and whenever I have the opportunity to go anywhere, I always try to talk to families of people who have children with disabilities, or the parents generally will come, but I will try to arrange meetings where I can talk with them, because advocacy for people with disabilities is so near and dear to my heart.
I can only imagine. And a lot of your ministry, I put your website up there, annieyorty.com. Uh, and I didn't get I needed to spend more time than I did. But tell us, when people go there, what are they going to find, and how do they can they connect with you? Do you blog? Tell us about your website.
Thank you. Yeah, my website is dedicated to my goal of helping people to perceive God at work in their everyday routines, and in those crisis moments as well, the difficulties that come into everyone's lives. So you will find my blog there. That's a weekly posting that I would love for you to sign up at anverdy.com and just check it out once. And I will also be sending anyone who signs up a journal page that can help you in your daily walk receiving God. You know, in Isaiah 43:19, it says, I'm doing a new thing, and won't receive it. And that's kind of what caught my attention, why I use that wording, because God is saying, what I'm doing is already there. I am there. And all you need to do is look up and see me.
I like your choice of words, and I think it was intentional, not coincidental. You say perceiving God. Notice that here's what you're not saying: finding God or discovering God as if he's out there somewhere hidden. and you got to go through some journey to find him like a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. No, God is there. We just need to tune in. We need to perceive.
That's right.
Because if you don't perceive, how can you understand? How can you then, in faith, obey? But people think of God as some distant cosmic killjoy, in
Right.
heaven somewhere, which he is. But he is also as near as he's right there. He is no matter where you go. There's even accounts in the Bible, and I think there's accounts in our own lives where we've tried to run from God. And no matter how far you run, he's still there. He's still there.
That's so true, Coach. I start out my book with I think the first title is called "Wandering," because I was wandering before I had my daughter, and God pursued me, and He. So that's the beginning of the story in from the journey from ignorance to bliss.
You are not the first parent of a special needs child that has appeared on our program. And each of them did not deny the challenges. They didn't say there weren't challenges. But each of them, in their own way, testified the blessing that has been brought into their lives and the love, how it has grown. And, but with a special needs child, you have to work at it. And it can be tough sometimes. What's a tough time you had?
Yeah, there are plenty of tough times. I remember as a new mom in the first couple of years, I was so stressed out by everything I was told to do, and it was my first child, and I
Mm.
didn't know what to expect, but I just knew I was trying to do it all, and that's no way to live because you can't do it all. So. Um, I remember thinking at the time that I was so glad that even a few years in, I was like, I'm glad I didn't know all this when I first had her, the day I
Mm.
had her. If I had known it, I would have been overwhelmed. But what God did in those days was He just sent me um, little reminders that He is there. He is encouraging me in different ways. I remember one morning I was driving to, and I was so like overwhelmed. And a song comes on the radio. It was a song called "Sometimes Miracles Hot." It was back in the '90s. It was by Bruce, and it was just talking about the um, comes even when you have all the worries or the troubles that come at you, there's still a blessing. And it reminded me of hope and mission. So God that morning, and I just thank Him for that all the time as I go through this journey.
Annie, what an amazing story. I asked this question because anytime I have the opportunity, or anytime I meet a parent of a special needs child, is I think that there's a huge disconnect out there. There's a gap, and we need to step up and stand in that gap. Here, tell me if I'm right, or correct me if I'm wrong. So often, those of us who have friends and people in our church who are parents of special needs children, so often we want to reach out, we want to pray for them, we want to come alongside them. But I just think in my own life, here's what gets in the way. Let's say that I were a member of your church, and I would say, well, Annie, how about let's, you, your husband, and my wife, let's go out to, let's go out to eat. And then I say, oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. No. That could lead to an embarrassing situation. So we take the cheap way out, and we just don't. We don't reach out. What would you say to people who are thinking like that?
I would say to people, don't be afraid to just bring up, don't be afraid to talk about it. When Alyssa was small, I remember a lot of, I could tell they were talking about it, but just not to me.
Hmm.
I can sense, you're sitting in church and there's somebody
Oh
talking
yeah,
behind.
yeah. The elephant in the room.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, but I did have some people who just asked me questions, asked me what it's like, just tried to study the world and understand it. And that's not offensive. It's actually welcome to have that opportunity to connect and help you understand what your needs are or what your life is.
Mhm. Well, thank you, Annie, for sharing that. You see, I do believe that's good advice, but here's the problem with it. That requires courage on my part. And so many of us Christians who proclaim that we have the sovereign King of Kings on our side chicken out. And forgive us, forgive me, for being such a chicken. We are that Peter, bold, sword slinging. you but when push comes to shove, sometimes we chicken out, and I think that is probably one of the larger obstacles. Not that God puts there, but we put those obstacles there. We let our fear outweigh our faith, and we just need to impact that situation. But Annie, gosh, we've run out of time. Did we cover anything? Is there any last remarks you want to get in there before we close?
I would just finish by saying, be be on the lookout. God is with you, no matter how it feels in that moment. He is always with you, and be on the lookout and ask Him to show you what He's doing.
Perceive the God that's out there. Well put. Annie Yorty, thanks for sharing your story with us. It's great to have you join us, and you have blessed us, and you hopefully have given us some courage to perceive God all around us. Thank you so much for sharing.
Well, thank you, Coach. I appreciate the opportunity to come here.
There you go. Annie Yorty, encouraging us to, well, have courage. Folks, whatever we face out there, God's bigger than that. But, God, I was just having this conversation earlier today. Um, if you look in the Bible at all the times that God intervened in a miraculous kind of way, in a huge, big way, He required an act of faith and obedience first. How many blessings do we miss out on because we lack the courage to take that act, to take that step of faithful obedience to His calling? Let me say it a different way. Ask yourself these two questions. I do. What is the boldest thing that you've ever done for Jesus Christ? It could be something as simple as asking the parent of a special needs child out to lunch or coffee or over to your home. But whatever it is, then ask yourself the next question. How long ago was that? And the challenge is to never be satisfied with either answer.